Hello, everyone. This is Sheila once again from Just Local Homes here at Keller Williams. And today's guest is Daniel Lucariello from our partner uh, realtor in Hawaii. And Daniel is actually an expert at helping our clients find homes in Hawaii and also one of the highest rated partners we have in Hawaii. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Daniel. Here you go.
Thank you so much, Sheila, and aloha to everybody. Thank you guys for all joining and being a part of this. Really excited to share some information. Being a relocation specialist and just specialize here on Oahu in general. I'd love to answer any questions that you might have about the Hawaii real estate. We're going to share some information about maybe some of the things that you're not familiar with, and then if anyone is interested outside of Honolulu or on the island of Oahu, we have the resources and the professionals on any of the outer islands. But for myself, specialize on the island of Oahu, and looking forward to answering any questions and sharing some local knowledge.
Well, we actually gathered questions already from some of our interested parties. And the first
Perfect.
question, of course, is if you could give them an idea of how the Hawaii housing market is right now.
Fantastic. You know what? And it's a wild transition. That I would say we're in a odd transition because of what happened through COVID. During that time, through the pandemic, a lot of people from all over the world, mainly West Coast, found that they were not only able to work from home, but their children were able to do school from home, and they all realized, instead of being wherever it was, and this could be the Midwest, this could be in the East Coast, this could be a lot of West Coast, though, they realized that I would much rather be inside and be in a place that I would dream of, and that's Hawaii. So our market got really saturated really quick through that pandemic time. And people were literally just flooding in and offloading their property and just saying, now is my time to buy my dream vacation home. And I'd rather be there. When we need to move back, we could rent it out. And so we saw a heavy influx. And as you folks know, during that time, the interest rates were really, really attractive. So coming out of that, our inventory was extremely low. It was a very competitive market during that time. And now it's slowly coming out where interest rates have jumped up a little bit. Our inventory can't catch up. So, we still don't have enough homes to where the prices are dropping, at a drastic price point. It's
Mhm.
slowly, but because we still have, our tourism, we still have our locals that are looking to purchase, we still have a lot of a military presence, and a lot of construction. That's what really holds the market strong out here. And so prices haven't dropped as much. So we are in a transitional period, whereas the competition is not as heavy, but the inventory is still on the lower end, and it is still holding really strong, the market itself.
So, would they expect still having to go through multiple uh, c- offers?
You know what? Not as much as the last couple of years. And I would have to say, and a lot of my answers probably are going to be similar to, depending on neighborhoods. Certain neighborhoods still very, very competitive. So when you get the saturated neighborhoods where you have a heavy military presence and it's close to a lot of the bases, of course those are going to be there's still multiple offer situations. But instead of going against 6 to 12 offers, you're going against a couple. So we have to get a little bit more strategic and transition of how we're going to negotiate. Other neighborhoods where there's going to be some more opportunity where we're able to negotiate really heavy and be able to get it well under asking price, and then also getting, in certain neighborhoods, we're able to get the sellers to pay down the rate, or be able to do maybe a 2-1 buy down, things like that.
Okay. Now,
Mhm.
would that be the same for like for some people it would be an investment for an Airbnb property. Would it be the same kind of competition and market that they should
You
be
know,
expecting?
it's a good question, and a lot of people from the mainland think that, you know what I'm gonna do is find a home, have Daniel help me out, buy a home for me. I don't even need to fly over there because they'll trust in us, and we've done that so much. We've helped so many people purchase a home and they've never even stepped foot on island. And we've done everything virtual, which can be the case. Now, what they don't understand is, in September of 2020, the Bill 41 had passed, and that means that short-term rental rules have changed, and the hotel lobbyists really push for this to where you cannot just purchase a home anywhere and then decide to Airbnb it or VRBO it. Now, in order to run your short-term rental investment, it needs to be in a licensed zone. And right now, that's in a specific zone of Waikiki, a condo on the North Shore in Turtle Bay, and then one on the far west side of the island over in Po'olina. So basically, you're limited. So the Turtle Bay and the Ko'olina one on the west side, those ones are starting, like 2-bedroom condos are starting around $2 million, and you're able to do short-term rental. Now, when you go into the Waikiki area, which you are allowed to do, now you're getting from studios that, I mean, you have some studios for a couple 100,000 all the way up to the multi-million dollars, that you are allowed to do short-term rentals, but it is specific to those areas. Now, if you wanted to do single family home, then you would have to have the specific TVU. So it's basically a transient vacation unit license, which is very, very difficult. So there were, before 2020, that bill passed, there were over 10,000 Airbnbs running on island, all over the island. I mean, you could go to Hawaii Kai, Waimanalo, the North Shore, and you could stay at a house and everyone loved it. Right now, if you purchase a home and you're advertising your home without that license, they basically have a task force that's fining everybody. Your first offense is $5,000, second offense $10,000 per day that you're advertising. So they really are regulating it and keeping your short-term rentals within a specific zone of Oahu. And each county is a little different. So Maui has different rules. Kauai has a little bit different rules. But for Oahu, that's very specific on where you're allowed to and be able to do a lot of your short-term rentals.
So, is there anything going on into increasing the number of zones that will be available to Airbnb, or that's it?
It's not looking like anytime soon that zone's going to expand, and it's saturated in Waikiki, and that's where the majority of tourism is staying, and that's where they kind of want to keep it. A lot of businesses are ran, and then they want to keep the hotel numbers up, and that was a big reason why this happened was hotels numbers has started dropping,
Dropping.
and tourism was all over the island, and it really affected. And of course, this is not something that I'm on the board of and I'm fully educated on the numbers wise, but this is how it seemed of why they're pushing this so hard. And it didn't help with, as me being invested minded, a lot of clients that I've helped in over the years purchase homes and I know a lot of locals. I've been here on Oahu for 22 years, so I have so many friends and family that have been running their investment property as an Airbnb and is very successful as a part of their income. And that, for them to just take it away makes it really, really difficult. So I'm not a huge fan of a bill that's like this. It's something we have to agree on. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people that have their home, they advertise it as 30 days or more. And that's what you're legally allowed to do. You could rent it out once per month. So you could advertise your home, hey, as Airbnb, come stay there for the month. And then the next month they could rent out. Now, a lot of the times people don't stay for a month. They'll stay for maybe 14 days, maybe sometimes 9 days, sometimes a week. And they could prorate it and they only pay for those 7 days, but you're legally not allowed to rent it out again through that month. So there's still opportunity. People still do it instead of getting a long-term renter. That's your other option, is you get a long-term renter that's there for a minimum year, sometimes 6 months, depending on where you're at. You could do a little shorter.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, once they've decided to purchase a home in Hawaii, what is the normal timeline of a purchase? Because I know state to state would be different.
Sure.
Um, how is it in Hawaii?
A good question, and the biggest thing for us is really identifying your ultimate wants, needs, and goals. Look, what are you looking for, and your end goal in investing in Hawaii. And so we will do a strategy session with them. And that's first and foremost of just understanding. Then we could get them, of course, pre-approved if they're looking to get finance, and we get them with a local lender. I think it's always important, with the state laws out here, with the time differences. A lot of the times they've worked closely with their lender, and that's totally fine. And we've worked with a lot of mainland lenders. We've also seen deals go sideways because the time differences, especially if it's an East Coast, you're looking at 6 hour differences, and deals could go sideways, not knowing some of the state laws and regulations out here. So we prefer to get them linked up with a local lender, get pre-approved, and then after our strategy session, we're able to identify where they're looking. We get after it. As I have a small team here, and so if it's not myself, then I have my team, and that's getting after it to really identify the properties that they're looking for. Once we start identifying and previewing properties, we start the negotiation. And once we have an accepted offer, it's a 30 to 45-day process, similar to the mainland, but it's about a 30 to 45-day process till you close and you're getting the keys to your property.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we do have a lot of viewers that are actually thinking of retiring in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for them, though, the main concern would be services available to seniors, healthcare situation for seniors, and could you give us some idea on how it would look for seniors once they've decided to make
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii their retirement
Great
place?
question. And you know what? First, I want to point out is a lot of the outer islands are some of the most beautiful places on earth, and I've been to all the islands. I absolutely love going to Kauai, love going to the Big Island. Maui's fantastic. It's a very unfortunate circumstance of what happened in Lahaina, and we've been supporting them. But I always want to point out of one of the reasons what Oahu separates all those other islands is our healthcare and the amount of hospitals. So if anything happens on any of the outer islands, they immediately need to fly over, and that time difference to fly to Oahu could be a game changer. So for our seniors and for our elderly, we do recommend Oahu because of the healthcare that we have out here, and the senior care centers that we have out here. So even if you're investing here and you end up wanting to be in senior homes, we have that availability out here. Um, as a whole, and as if you're looking to, have a little bit more intimate senior care, we're in need out here. There's actually a shortage as far as not just the senior care centers, but the smaller, more intimate 6-room homes. That's something that we're in need of, and unfortunately, the licensing um, department is so backed up that should you be a specialist and want to start a senior care home, it just makes it a little difficult as far as the timeline in getting that license, but it is doable.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. And are there additional considerations in terms of cost that maybe are not similar to those here in California? Uh, Costs for owning a home in Hawaii beyond property taxes, maybe?
And that's one of the first things I want to point out is property tax. We believe it or not, Hawaii's property tax is one of the lowest in the country. Amazing, and that is because cost of living is one of the highest. So that's the one benefit we have is your property tax. The property tax is pretty low, which is fantastic. So we love that part. Outside of that, if you're going to have any other things to keep in mind as far as your costs is your cost of living. It is going to be a difference from the mainland. overall. I know people are first to say, oh my gosh, gallon of milk, this, it's not necessarily those little things, but everything in the grand scheme, just in general, cost of living in Hawaii, it just got recognized as one of the tops. I think it's us in New York, California, and and of course certain areas reflect differently, but overall the cost of living. Will you have, the only other thing that I would point out is your property tax if you're doing short-term rental. So if we are able to get you in that Airbnb resort zone, the property tax is not the same as your normal residential or investment. It is actually triple the price should be looking to do a short-term rental.
Wow. Okay. And when you say triple the price, do you have a
When I say,
percentage?
so basically, if you're say you were to invest for a short-term rental
Mhm.
under $1 million, you're looking, I mean, for a non-short-term rental under $1 million, you're looking at 31 cents per $1,000 for property tax. So relatively pretty low. And then when you're actually you have a TVU license, it's on average triple to quadruple that. So you're looking at the $1.50
A dollar
minimum per thousand. Yeah.
per thousand. Okay.
Mhm.
And then lastly, oh well, two more questions I have here from our audience. One is asking how easy would it be to find a property manager for a property that they purchase for investment, maybe long-term rents, right? Like 1 year, 2 year rents.
That's a great question. So, and I love this because, like I was saying, I have a small real estate team. We are recognized as one of the top real estate teams in Hawaii. We have been recognized top 10 out of the last 6 years. My business partner and CEO, his name's Eric Taniguchi. He's third generation realtor. So his parents, they started Pacific Properties 35 years ago, and they only do property management, and they are
Okay.
amazing. He's now passing that down to his daughter. She's helping run it, but they're all three are involved, and they start their rates at 10%, which is very competitive, very very good for in Hawaii. If he's going into the short-term rental, I do have another specialist that property managers for short-term. It's usually starts about 15% up to 20%
All right. Actually,
though.
that's really perfect. Now, the last one is, of course, everybody's dream, if they're retiring in Hawaii, is to be close to the beach. But could you give us an idea of the difference of prices between inland type of properties versus, I would say, beachfront, even in the maybe not as popular areas? You know,
Sure, and that is the dream, is to be beachfront.
correct.
And I'll be very transparent. If you're gonna go, and I don't know how familiar the audience is with Oahu, but the far west side of the island is the most affordable, I'll say. Also known for a lot of locals that have been born and raised there, and higher crime rate, drug use, things like that. Not as attractive driving down there. Once you're there, beaches are some of the nicest, but the neighborhoods are not so much, unless you're used to it. And you could get a little bit more affordability out there. It's something I wouldn't necessarily recommend somebody to coming from the mainland to live there. It's not for everyone. Now, those homes you could go beachfront, and those could start anywhere from, the I would say all the way in Miley or in Waianae area, you could get some across the street, for around the 800,000. But that's I would say if you go to the countryside, there is over in Haula, which is over by the Polynesian Culture Center. It's a little bit more country. Not it's on the east side of the North Shore, and that one those will start. There's about a 1,400 square foot um, interior on a 6,000 square foot lot. It is waterfront with your own little beach, and that starts at 1.4, and it was built in 1953. And then you could, from there, it's probably the lowest price that you'll have for a waterfront. When you go into town, from the Haula, coming around to like the Hawaii Kai area, and then you start entering some of our luxury neighborhoods, but mostly in town you're starting about the 4 million if you wanted to get anything close to the waterfront. It
Okay.
goes all the way up to 29 million.
Okay. And inland, like, okay, if they give up on their dream to be waterfront, they just want to be in Hawaii.
Yeah,
How
hey,
does that look?
electric bikes now. You could be you're a short bike ride away from the water, and you're going to be saving millions of dollars. You know, right now we have a total all of Oahu. We have a total of about 573 single family homes available. And those, again, I'm going to eliminate the far west side of the island. So everything from inland, which is more metro area or close to Pearl Harbor, all the way to the south side of the island in Hawaii Kai. You're, and if you wanted to go to like Kapolei or Eva Beach, which is a lot of the military, you know, saturation, because it's you can get a little bit newer homes that are typically starting about the 750,000 for
Okay.
um, you know, about a 3-bedroom single family home. A lot of those ones though are in small associations. So even though it's a single family home, you do have about a $400 a month. When you
HOA.
get into the, yeah, when you from the west side, if you start coming into town, you're going up between, you know, west side is 700 to 850, and then you start going from 850 to a million. When you start going into the centralized area of Oahu, and then when you start getting into town, you're usually minimum about $1,050,000 for homes that could still use repair, all the way up to about 1.4, and then all the way up to, like I said, about 30 million,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Okay.
and everything in between. So, yeah, there's a pretty big variety. Anybody has any questions of specific areas, and I could really pinpoint. You know, it's very broad because we have some very specific neighborhoods over here. So, if there's something specific they're looking for, we'd like to fine tune that, and we could find it for you.
All right. Well, that was the last question actually that we had from our audience. So before we go, I was gonna give instructions for those who, your friends probably, who would have missed our live stream today. We make available our replay video, and you could just send us a DM for the link. For those who would like to contact Daniel, you could give them your contact details, or you could reach out to me also through DM. But
Absolutely. So you can, yeah, reach out to Sheila. She can link us up. On my Instagram is Danny underscore my last name Lucarello. At my email, I have Daniel at taniguchiassociates.com. You could always reach out to me there. And then my phone number is readily available as well, which is 808-780-8801. Please check out my team's website at www.taniguchiassociates.com. And we even have a little, people that aren't familiar with Oahu itself, it's very user friendly. You could poke around with that icon on your mouse and look at different areas, tells you about school districts, tells you a little bit about each area. But I prefer to just answer any questions personally, and I'm happy to hop on any call or Zoom or emails with anybody that's interested in any questions.
all right. With that, do watch out for announcements for our next episode coming up next month. With that, we'd like to wish everyone good evening. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for having me.
Thank you,
Aloha,
Daniel.
mahalo. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.